Hey guys, before we get started, you know what we always ask for every time. We beg you, please like and subscribe. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LaunchpadPod, on our website, launchpadpod.com. And please watch us on YouTube. We love when people can see our faces and the stupid looks we pull when we tell each other jokes.
Yeah. Don't you want to see us getting a kick out of each other? Although I got to say, most of the people that I talk to that give us like positive feedback, they say they love how we crack each other up. Like a lot of women have said that they love my face and muscles and everything too. But they say that like they love to watch us when we crack each other up.
No, that's what I hear too. And so that, I mean, that's really the only point. The only reason we do this, I mean, is to crack each other up. So, hey, you're all in luck. Today it's going to be a weird one. We're just going to be checking in with some movies we watch. And I've been really busy. We started shooting the show that I'm on and it's busy as shit. So I only have gotten to see one or two movies, and it'll be interesting to talk about those movies because they're not the type of movies we normally talk about.
Okay, I'm excited for this.
All right, let's get on with the show.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, welcome to Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Matt.
Yeah, I've been busy as shit, man. So this is a weird thing. We're in a weird moment right now. So this is July 3rd when we film this, but when it airs, it'll be July 6th. So at this very moment, some of our listeners have all of their fingers and toes
while we're recording this.
So at this very moment, while we record this, everybody probably has all their fingers and toes if there hasn't been a previous accident. But by the time you're listening to this, some of you, I guarantee at least one of you is missing a newly missing digit. How fucked up is that?
Yeah. And that person's lamenting because they're watching and listening to this and being like, man, when these two idiots were saying that, I was like, yeah, some idiot's going to lose his finger. And now you realize that you are that idiot. If you were the idiot, write us, let us know. And I want to see, it's going to just look like a chicken walked across the keyboard because it's not, you're not going to be able to type it. That's terrible.
That's hilarious.
There's something
also kind of a fucked up year for 4th of July because I feel like it's one of those situations like you have a friend and they're a total fucking dick to you for a month, like just betraying you at every turn, and then still invites you to their birthday party.
Invite you to the birthday party.
They're like, you're going to show up, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to take all the tacos and
you
steal
did
a bunch
just
of
deny
beer.
50-something% of the population their rights, but I mean,
I'm going to eat a hot dog and drink.
I was going to say,
beer.
what kind of cake are you going to have?
But I'm also going to sneak into your master bathroom and take an upper decker, which is when you take a big dump in the water tank and then like just leave it. So every time they flush, like shitty water goes in. And they're like, what is that smell? And I'll be like, happy birthday, bitch. It's a weird year, man. It's a weird fucking year. But let's talk about some shit. I've been busy as fuck. I'm shooting a show right now. It's kind of fun, kind of cool, but it's a lot of work as shooting a show is. So I don't get a lot of time to watch things. But I came home recently and Kate was like, I have a movie I want to watch. I was like, okay. And we have talked about this sort of thing in the past when your wife makes the movie pick and at first you're like, I'm not going to like this movie. This movie's going to be, this is a girl movie and I'm not going to like it. And then halfway through your movie, you're like, this is not what I thought it was at all. And also it's great. So
we have a whole episode that we did about that I believe is still in the can. We recorded it. And I believe this, like, Kate led you on a journey of a bunch of different a bunch of different movies that you guys watched. We talked about, you even sold me on some of them, but we never released the episode yet.
Oh, was it the Valentine's Day one? Where it's like, what'd you watch for Valentine's Day? And I watched a bunch of like romance movies that were actually like really good.
Yes. One of them was about like a phone wrong number thing.
Yeah, Pillow Talk.
Yeah.
So,
your wife was like, let's watch Pillow Talk. And you pulled your pants down. We're like, okay. And then she started it and you pulled your pants back up. And you're like, but this is a good movie.
Hey, at least it's a good movie. So this happened again. This is the 1980 film 9 to 5 starring Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and of course, Dolly Parton. And what have you seen this movie, Rumi?
No.
Do you know anything about this movie?
I mean, is it about Dolly Parton going to the city to get a job?
No.
Oh, so that's what I would have thought.
Honestly,
I don't know that I've ever seen a Dolly Parton movie, period. So I know who she is. I know what she sounds like. I know she sings, but I don't know what she is in movies. You know what I mean? I don't know who her character is.
So she's famous. One of the most famous country music singers of all times. She is like the country music version of Elvira because she does not go 10 minutes without being like, I got Tiggo Bitties, check them out. Like constantly reminding you that she has this great rack. She's proud of it. Good for her. She's also a great philanthropist. She puts a lot of money into her community and does a lot of good works. But, she's been an actress. She's in a movie called The Great Little Whorehouse in Texas, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which is a musical. Not as much sexiness as you would expect from a movie with that title.
Hold your pants back up for that one, too.
But this movie is about Jane Fonda going to the city to get a job. And Dolly Parton is the secretary at this office. And Lily Tomlin works at this office. And I thought this was going to be a movie about like women being like, oh, I want equal pay and I want to be treated fairly and not be treated like shit at the office. That's what it's about. But these three women become friends. They get stoned as fuck one night and they start fantasizing about how they want to like kill their boss. And like these great fantasy sequences, like Lily Tomlin is dressed like Snow White and like little animals are like flying around her and she poisons him and throws his body out a window in this dream. And then Dolly Parton, her fantasy is she's like, I just want to give him a taste of his own medicine. And he comes in and he's all like meek and mild. The boss, by the way, is played by Dabney Coleman impeccably. He is all meek and mild mannered. And she's like, turn around, Toots. I want to see your ass. And he's like, oh okay. And like that scene is so great because she just berates him and belittles him. But it's like also like, oh my God, we've seen the reverse where he's like treating, like he drops stuff on the floor just so she has to bend over and pick it up. And he's like, she knows what he's doing. You're like, so she treats him like shittily, which is funny. And it's done in a funny way because it's a dream sequence. Jane Fonda like shoots a gun at him. And you're like, these are fun dream sequence. These ladies are stoned. They're having a good time. Little do you know that they all come true. Lily Tomlin the next day brings her boss a cup of coffee and he's a piece of shit. The whole movie, he's just like berating them and he's a misogynist and he's a bigot and he sucks. She brings him a cup of coffee and has accidentally put rat poisoning in it, because the boxes look exactly the same. So she starts by poisoning her boss and they think they kill him. He goes to the hospital and they're like, oh, fuck, we have to get to the hospital and try and like iron this out before he finds out.
Unpoison him.
Yeah. So they get there and through some hilarious like misinterpretations and coincidences, they see a body being wheeled out and they're like, oh, fuck, we killed him. And then Lily Tomlin proceeds to steal the body from the hospital. And there's this hijinks scene where they're like wheeling the corpse around and they don't know it's not the boss. He sneaks out the back door and everybo's like, it's like doing that thing.
We know the audience knows it's not the right corpse.
So
we're in on it, but they're not.
In on it. And these three women are stealing a corpse from the hospital. And at that moment, I'm dying laughing. I'm like, I'm so on board with this movie. They have this corpse in their trunk. The cops are pulling them over. They're trying to talk their way out of it. It's fucking hysterical. And then when they find out they didn't kill him, he finds out that they wanted to kill him. And he's like, I'm going to blackmail you all. And unless Dolly Parton, you sleep with me. And unless you do this and unless you do that, I'm telling everybody. So then they kidnap him and they keep him in his house, locked up in his house in chains for like a week. And they do all this for almost a month, like 30 days. They keep him locked up and they do all this shit at the office. That's like, we gave people part-time jobs. We raised the minimum wage. We opened a daycare. We started doing all these different things like that, like you should just do as good business. And he gets out and he's like, oh, I'm going to get every single one of you. He escapes and he shows up to work and the big boss shows up and he's like, you've done great stuff here, Johnson. I'm going to give you a big fucking raise. I'm going to send you down to Brazil to open up a new thing. He's like, Brazil? He's like, yeah, we got to clear the jungles down there. You got to go down there. And like, I need somebody to go get him. And because they did such a good job in his absence, that guy gets promoted and dies in the jungle somewhere.
Now, is this a movie that Kate had seen before, and it was a rewatch for her?
Yeah, she had seen it before. I had never seen it. And it, again, starts off where you're like, oh, what is this going to be?
Right.
And then you're like, this is dark as fuck. These women are planning to murder him. And there's all these hilarious, like, dream sequences of how do we kill our boss, full on with like animated animals and hilarious like special effects. And by the end of the movie, she's poisoned the boss. The other girl's Dolly Parton's hog-tied him with telephone cord, which was in her fantasy, and Jane Fonda has shot at him with a gun. It's fucking great. And you're like, no, that's not what this movie's going to turn into. Like, it just keeps taking these left turns and you're like, what? Wait, these women are all, and it all comes from them like smoking a joint. Like, I got a joint in my pocket. You guys want to smoke it? And they're like, okay. And it's like, wait, what is this movie turning into? And by the time they're hijacking corpses, I was like, I'm so on board. They did it. Good job.
Is it late 70s, early 80s?
It's 1980.
80.
And I think it's one of those things that's like super timely, which is also like, oh, it's still hyper relevant.
Yeah,
women aren't treated properly in the workplace. Hey, don't kill your bosses, but also like, maybe scare them a little.
I like that. And I can see from how you're talking, it kind of gave you a sense of empowerment. So like when you go into work and your boss purposely drops something, I know you're not going to pick it up, right?
Yeah. I don't turn around for no man.
Just be careful when you make the coffee.
I just give it a little extra shimmy as I walk out the door.
Oh, I know. I lived with you for a couple of years.
But it's fantastic. I think it was one of those movies that was like, I think everybody who likes cinema, especially like that era of cinema, like 80s comedies, it's worth checking out for sure. And, even if it's not as up your alley as it is for me, I think people find it funny.
I have that category of movies that's like her pick, but I either secretly or loudly like it. Like I'm on board. It's like there's times where we watch a movie and I'm like, I'm only watching this because I love you. Yeah, that's the only reason. And that's clear.
That's 95% of Kate's movie watching experience.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But there's that other one. And when I hit a movie like that, I do try to be like, listen, I started this for you, but now I'm on board. This is good. I'm glad that we're watching it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That happens all the time. What are some of those movies for you? Do you have one that you're like?
Twilight for me was one only because like she was like Twilight. And I was like, ugh. And we went to the theater and halfway through, I was almost exploding by holding in the comments and the jokes that I wanted to make. And halfway through, she made one and I like looked at her. And then a minute later, she made another one. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's free fire. Like we're weapons free now. Well, okay, cool. And like that, I was like, okay, we're on the same page. It's not that the movie was good, but we can enjoy it on the same level, which, that's awesome. Amanda and I are different than you and Kate. We don't usually enjoy the same media the same way.
We did, for the first time, Kate and I did, Twilight during quarantine, and it was almost too much. The movie is too terrible and too like
you need reinforcements. Like you need to have a crew in there to rip it apart.
We were making jokes, but by the end we were like, man, I'm exhausted.
I'm
exhausted. By the time they're at the dance, and you're like, oh God, is this movie over yet? Cause there's too many jokes. I'm exhausted from telling jokes and laughing at my own jokes. This is exhausting. Stop it. This movie's terrible.
I'm trying to think of other ones that How I Met Your Mother was something that she was watching and I got pulled into and was like, okay, I like this. Yeah, that's a good show, but that's a good show. Yeah. And I don't think that's like geared like, but I had the synopsis of that and one episode of that, aside from being a funny comedy, a funny sitcom, there's nothing in it that's my normal thing. Like that's not something I would have taken off the shelf myself. Like 9 to 5 sounds a little bit less of my deal, like more removed. I'm trying to think now, damn, like what would be a good one that she said would be good and I liked it. Fuck, it's the one about we just watched it. It shows you how interested in it I was. It's Drop Dead Gorgeous. Did you ever see that?
No, but that's on my list of ones that I'm like, I think I could be on board with that. It's like seems dark enough that I could be on board with that.
It's the same as this, where it's like you know, if you've seen the poster or the trailer, you think it's this, And even if you're not surprised by what it actually is, it's clever, it's well acted, it's fun. And it's like, if that's a date movie, I don't feel like it's not a nutrition. I had fun watching that too.
Heathers was like that for me because I had no clue what Heathers was.
Oh, I think I knew what that was, but yeah.
It's like people get bullied in high school and I was like, I don't really want to see that. And it's like, and then they kill them. And I was like, oh fuck. And then they actually, it's like making a joke out of school murders before that was even like a horrible thing to think about. And it's like, holy shit, this movie's dark and I'm kind of here for it. And then I got to do the TV show, which was really fun. And then nobody watched the TV show. Womp, womp.
Yeah, because we're all like, that's dark. I don't want to do it.
Oh, well, here's what happened. So it's on Paramount Plus, right? And Paramount Plus was like, we just realized that the show we greenlit about high school students killing other high school students is really fucking dark. Oh, gee, really? You can only release it if it's within 2 weeks of a school shooting. So we never got to release it.
Wow.
Yeah. So could never get that window. Thanks, America. Happy birthday, bitches. To release the TV show that kind of dealt with that in a funny manner. But I thought it was hysterical and shocked me multiple times with the jokes that they were going with. I was like, oh fuck, that's really fucked up and really.
I only recently saw the movie, like within the last, I'll say 5 years.
Yeah.
Have I seen the movie? I always knew what it was. It's probably one of those movies that I saw on TBS for like a scene or two at a time. But I never fully watched it. But yeah, James Spader does a great job.
Christian Slater, not James Spader.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Christian Slater and Winona Ryder.
Christian Slater and Winona Ryder. They do amazing. It's clever. And it definitely is, I feel like we're inadvertently kind of picking a lot of black comedies and dark comedies.
Yeah.
That's a fine line. And I don't even mean the balancing act. I feel like if you make it too dark, it's no longer a comedy. And if you make it too light, it's no longer a dark comedy or a black comedy. I think to kind of walk those lines where you're kind of laughing, but also looking to see if anybody else in the room is laughing, that's kind of hard to do. And I think that's maybe one of the hardest movies to make on purpose.
Yeah. 100%, because you have to know you are not hitting those jokes for everyone in the room.
Sure. Yeah, that's right.
Some people there are very upset by the movie you're making and probably walking out in droves. But the people who stayed, that's who you made it for. And that to me is like, I think that's a big part of like camp aesthetic. Like when you talk about a campy movie and like a movie that, and camp, I took a class on camp because I love a good campy movie.
I went to camp for camp.
We cooked marshmallows. There were drag queens. It was campy as fuck. Camp is an interesting genre because it is saying, hey, if you're not down, get the fuck out. Those are you're down, let's party. We're having a good time, but we're gonna wink at you the whole time, and it's gonna be like it's gonna get weird. So I love that, and that can be really fun, or it can be really off-putting, and you're right. It's such a fine line because you have to, with a straight face, have pitched a movie that's like, murder's funny, right?
Right. Yeah. You know how high school kids be killing high school kids?
But jokes. Like,
right.
That very quickly could suddenly not be funny at all and just be a very, very horribly uncomfortable movie. And then or it could be too goofy to just be like, oh, they aren't taking this seriously. And this is a very serious topic to not be taken seriously, which is, again, like, how do you nail that? Like, can you nail that with precision intelligently? Like, or is it just by accident? Because I've worked on lots of movies and you're just like, this is accidentally as good as it is.
This is good, but you don't realize it's good. Yeah.
So it's like, dark comedies are very hard to nail down.
Well, it's also like to write a dark joke, right? To write a joke about school shooting or terrorism or something like that. It's not as ripe for the picking as like airplanes. Like, we've all been on airplanes. We all know the things on airplanes that frustrate us. You can relate to that. But when you're making a joke about a school shooting, I think there's a very narrow window of what you can hit that you actually can turn into a laugh.
Yeah.
And then it's also, you got to be smart enough and witty enough. And granted, not everyone in the room is going to laugh at it, right? You said that before, but to make that still funny, you got to try to mine through that tragedy to get to what's funny. And that's pretty hard. And I think, just as I'm saying this, I think it's even harder to do because black comedies usually make people uncomfortable because they're dark. And I think part of the reason they're dark is because most jokes are calling upon a relatability, right? Yeah. When I say, what's the deal with that? It's because you know what the deal is. You've been there before. So if you make a joke that's dark about school shooting or kid shooting, it's playing on how you feel about that, whether you feel X or Y or Z. And many people probably don't want to be exploring how they feel about vigilante justice or politics or this. And when you hit them right where they live like that, your choices are blow it off, which I don't think people are very good at. Be like, you know what? You got me. And I'm going to laugh at that, which is you're admitting to something there, or to fight it. Right.
Yeah. And to be angry. Yeah.
Right. And I think that when you make a joke about fucking how stupid these people can be, or, I was waiting in line at Starbucks and I was frustrated because these series of events unfolded. Victimless, right? Doesn't matter if you've been there, you feel me. If you haven't, this joke's going to pass you by, but you don't care about what I'm saying. Yeah. But when you're making a joke that's dark, there's an element of, hey, I have a feeling about that. And you're either agreeing with me, not agreeing, or making me examine my own feelings with that, right?
Or you're blowing off how I feel about it. Like that's the other side. Yeah. Like
it's tricky.
You've made a joke about something I'm passionately feel one way or another about. You just made a joke of that. Fuck you. And like, I think a big part of that though is like when you look at a movie that dares to go there and you're like, fuck you, movie. The movie looks at you and goes, fuck you back. And you're like, okay, all right.
Fair enough.
Ha, ha,
you're a movie. Okay. You have your own movie opinion and you're trying to make it Joe. You're accomplishing or not accomplishing what you're trying to. Okay.
It's such a weird thing. And like 9 to 5, I think Road, again, it never went super dark, but it was just dark enough to like hook me in and go, ha, I like that this movie's not fucking around. They're trying to poison this boss. And like, they literally are stealing bodies and like, they're here for it. And they're in these situations. That's like, that's hysterical. I thought this was going to be like an office comedy. And
that's what I would have thought. I assumed, isn't it funny how like by an image or a quick scene, you assume what the rest of the movie is? Because we've all done that, right? I guess that would be a fun episode to do.
Well, I heard the song. Dolly Parton's soundtrack to this, 9 to 5, working hard to make a living. Yeah. Nowhere in that song is it's like, and I almost murdered my boss and I kidnapped him.
My boss takes advantage of my body, so I decided to revenge. No.
Yeah, it's like, that's not in the song. Holy shit.
You're thinking of the radio edit. In the uncut edit, there's a whole revenge portion.
And there's that rap interlude by Method Man. Torture motherfucker.
Corpse stealing.
Yeah, corpse stealing. The Wu-Tang guest spot. Who knew? Although now that I'm thinking about it, Dolly Parton and the Wu-Tang Clan, let's get a collab going. Come on.
That would be pretty interesting.
I'd
watch that movie.
What's another weird one? Oh, Bring It On is one that like every now and then, like Kate's like, you want to watch it? I'm like, fuck yeah, that movie's hysterical. Like, I'll watch it.
I never saw it. That's another one. I assume it's about cheerleaders working on a cheerleading competition.
That is exactly what it is, but it's just that right era of 90s comedy that you're like, that's funny to me. And I think that's funny. It is not there is no dark or murder plots. It's just like,
right. It is what it is, but
it's just high school drama, but you're like, that's actually entertaining and the characters are funny and I'm here for it. It has
a couple of those that
you don't like Kirsten Dunst though, so you're not going to like
But I'm on and off. What did I just saw something with her recently where she was okay.
Fargo. Season 2.
No, we talked about this, I think, an episode or two ago, and you were selling her to me on it.
Yeah, Fargo. I forget
what it was, but you said it. I rewatched Spider-Man. She's just, I can't. But I don't know. Maybe that's not her. Maybe that's like the Hayden Christensen, George Lucas thing, where Hayden Christensen gets shit on, but I don't know that's his fault. I think it's.
Did you see Doctor Strange yet?
No, but now that it's on streaming, and I'll be home, so I'm traveling. I'm in Rhode Island right now. But I'll be home in a couple of days, and Amanda and Kent stay here for another week. So I should have some time to watch some shit. Although I'm not super motivated because I don't care. But is Kristen Dunst in there?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying it's Sam Raimi, and I've heard mixed bags. Like some people are like visually cool, but like Sam Raimi, man, you like they feel like he didn't get the control that he could have to get as weird as he wanted to. So it feels like, hey, Sam Raimi, you're going to direct this movie, but have no control over the choices you make. And he's like, okay, well, can I put a zombie in there? Like zombie Doctor Strange? And like, sure. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll do that.
To me, he's like that band that you go see the concert and he's like, all right, we're going to go back and play our big hit, Evil Dead. And you're like, yeah. And he's like, Evil Dead, right? Segues into Evil Dead 2. And you're like, yeah. And then he's like, Army of Darkness. You're like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to play some of my new hits, Spider-Man. And you're like, to me, it's like chirp, chirp, chirp.
But again,
I can't stand it.
But remember when Spider-Man came out? The first Spider-Man came out,
and I give it historical credit.
Yeah, but then like upon second watching, you're like, already this has been surpassed by better superhero films, including Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 made Spider-Man 1 look like child's play, not the movie.
Sure,
the actual children play. Because if it had made it look like child's play, I'd take that as a compliment. Because that movie is fucking sick. Anyway. So yeah, Spider-Man 1 for like just blasting through that ceiling, like superheroes are here. They're movies that can be done great, and it's not terrible. It just has been done better so many times. It's not even fun. Now it is into a formula that like, hey, here's a blockbuster hit. We know how to do it so perfectly, you can't escape it. And you're like, oh, thanks, Marvel. Appreciate it. Wow, another $1 billion blockbuster hit. How do you guys do it? Like, remember when that was a rare thing where you're like, this movie's good and it's guaranteed to be good. Now it's like, I mean, again, I have never seen a bad Marvel movie. It's just, wow, so fucking glittery and perfect. How can I possibly?
Well, it's just like, it's like a Lay's potato chip, right? Like, they're all the fucking same. There's nothing wrong with them. When you want to eat a potato chip, that's a potato chip. Done. But you never eat a potato chip and then call your friends like, bro, I just had a Lay's potato chip and it tasted like a Lay's potato chip. You're like, yeah, dude, I had a Lay's potato chip earlier this week. It was like literally the same Lay's potato chip I had before.
I came out of Everything Everywhere All at Once and was calling people like, go see this fucking movie. Stop what you're doing right now. Go see this movie. Like
that's a dick pizza.
Yeah, that is. Oh my God, guys, I had this Lay's potato chip. Dick flavored. It was so amazing. You got to get down to see this.
It's not for everybody, but you're going to remember that you ate
it. Can you imagine the bag art? It's all like pixelated and shit. Lay's, it's just pixelated. And you're like, what? I mean,
I'm imagining a Pringles flavor because it's got that picture of the guy's head.
His mouth is
and then you could have the pixelated thing next to him.
Just cheeks are just chipmunk engorged. Yeah, yummy. Yeah, you're right. That's it. It's like they've nailed it and they're all good, but like it's almost like you need a bad one every now and then to just like palate cleanse. I guess that's what DC's for. Oh, zing. Ooh, zing. Yeah. Da, da, da. Speaking of DC, have you been following the news with like what's happening with the Flash?
Yeah, the kidnapping Flash. I only see flashes of it, and I've read a couple articles. But yeah, it's almost like, is this really happening? And like, are people allowing this? Like, I don't know how you fix it, but like, nobody's tried. I haven't read anything that said so and so tried to intervene and stop this nonsense.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for those of you not
throw it out for those people who don't.
And here's the thing. I am paraphrasing news headlines that I see scrolling through Instagram. So this is not a news report. Right. So so please don't say, I heard on this podcast where these two idiots talk about dick pizzas.
They transition from penis Pringles to this real news story that I'm about to relate to you.
Yeah. This is, as I understand it, which could be 100% wrong. Ezra Miller, who played the Flash.
In the DC movies.
In the DC movies and in the upcoming Flash movie, which I'm going to tell you about in a second, started with him choking out some people. He choked out this lady in public and everybody saw it and was like, whoa, I'm going to sue you. And then another lady came forward and was like, yeah, he came and trashed my apartment. And I was like, you got to get the fuck out, leave. And so I'm going to sue him. And now he's on the run at like some compound with a couple of kids and their mom, and their dad's like, he kidnapped my family, but the family's like, no, we love him. And it's like real creepy, like compound shit, like, sort of a Stockholm syndrome thing going on where they're like, no, he's super cool. It's not dangerous at all. But like literally everybody's like, no, this is super fucked up and dangerous. This is some Michael Jackson shit right now. You guys somebody needs to step in. Well, Warner Brothers in this situation is like, fuck, well, we can't put out a movie. We can't put out the Flash movie now because this guy's a psycho and it's spiraling out of control. This is going to cause us a huge problem. Well, guess what? Movies have contracts, and producers and stars have things in their contract that says, if you don't put this movie in a movie theater that I get money back for, because I get paid residuals, I sue the fuck out of you and you owe me more money. Or like, well, there are triggering effects if you don't release a movie. So then their next option is, well, do we Sonic the Hedgehog this shit and replace Ezra Miller in every shot of it? And like, people are like, well, we've done that a lot lately. Like Tig Notaro was put in place of some other fucking asshole who got canceled for Army of the Dead. And it worked out great. Yeah, that guy wasn't the star of the movie who had lines. He was like a guy who was like, sup, I'm in the background every now and then. Hey, it's me, that guy. And well, they got rid of that guy and they put her in. Hey, that worked out great. It's happened multiple times. The only thing I can relate to it is Sonic the Hedgehog, which, did you see Chippendale? Rescue Rangers?
No.
Not the dancers?
No, no. But someone, a male dancer and aerialist was telling me about the movie in very vague terms for a while, and it took me a minute to understand that he was talking about Chippendale Rescue Rangers, not Chippendale the Australian dance troupe. Because it was very on brand for this person to be talking about the latter. Yeah, and I thought that's what he meant for a couple minutes.
Don't pigeonhole me.
But okay, Rescue Rangers has
it has Ugly Sonic as a character, and it's like the old Sonic.
I did see that clip.
I couldn't stop laughing, and they're like, he's got fucked up teeth, and like he keeps showing his human teeth, which are like individual teeth, whereas like Sonic the cartoon character doesn't have like human individual like incisors and whatnot. And like Ugly Sonic is my favorite part of that movie because he's amazing. He's like a big character. It's funny.
Well, but yeah, the problem with Sonic, that was Disney had to rush the release of that because Weird Sonic started fucking kidnapping and grooming young girls, and he was choking people out, and Disney was left because, Disney has a contract.
Jim Carrey will lose his shit if we don't put this movie
There's
out.
A problem here because it's all fast stars who are choking people out and then grooming and taking people away. Sonic, The Flash, right?
Blew my mind, bro. What? Guys, if you can go faster than the normal human being, like super fast, I'm not even saying like Usain Bolt fast. Like if you're faster than him, you guys got to settle the fuck down. Stop kidnapping kids and taking them out to ranches to diddle. Stop that shit.
The first thing I heard when I heard that first headline about like Ezra Miller choking people out, I was like, him? Because like in my mind, he looks like a skinny little kid. And I was like, I know that's not like the best way to think about it, but I was like, really?
Yeah. And it's really sticky too, because I don't know. There's a lot of like, I don't want to say it that way. There's a lot of pitfalls here with this story because, he's a very eccentric person and people are like, well, we don't want to like cramp his style or like his lifestyle or whatever. And it's like, no. This is exactly what you need to do. You need to be like, look, his lifestyle does not matter. You cannot fucking groom kids or choke people out. We are separating this completely. Like, do whatever you want, but you can't do this. Like,
you should be able to do, like, you should do whatever you want to do. But the second what you do involves somebody else's neck, probably not cool, right?
Yeah. Well, and especially like, unless they ask for it and there's a safe word. Come on, guys, let's be safe word's banana.
Sonic. Robotnik. Jesus Christ. We kind of went into this episode without too much of a topic other than like, what have you been watching and catching up? But I feel like we're covering a lot of ground.
I really do, man. We really laying it out there. You want to hear a dad joke I heard this week? It cracked me the fuck up.
Fuck yeah.
It doesn't work because it's daytime right now, but imagine it's night. Let's paint a picture. It's night. It's starry out. and you can see some constellations. Do you know many constellations, Matt? Can you pick out a few?
A couple, but not. I mean, I know more than I could pick out, but yeah.
Sure.
I'm sure I know enough to get the joke, if that's your concern.
Orion's belt is a waste of space. I'm sorry. That's a terrible joke. 3 stars.
It's not terrible. It's just a dad joke.
But the 3 stars, it's only 3 stars, man.
Oh, that was the second part. I like that. That's
it
pretty good.
Follow up. Yeah, I heard that and I kept cracking on. But Kay was like, why? And I told her and she's like, and just like walked away. And I was like, it would have worked better if I looked up, but if the sky was there, if I had the visual.
Right.
Sorry, that's a terrible joke. 3 stars.
Did I tell you about the softball game at my school that I walked over and started commentating on?
No, was it good?
I'm very dad proud of this. So the 5th graders have a 5th grade end of the year softball game, last day of school. And we take our classes and you could watch the softball game with your kids. And your kids watch for 10 minutes and get fucking bored. So I walked over there, and as I'm walking over, there's another teacher and he's got his phone hooked up to the sound speaker and he's DJing. But there's a microphone on a stand and I can't help myself. So I walk over and I was like, hey, is this microphone live? And he's like, yeah. So I grab it and I start going, next to bat. This young lady is called the Towering Terror. I swear to God, she was like 3 feet tall. And I'm making fun of kids. I'm ripping them. I'm like making backstories for kids and giving kids names. Now, some of these kids I know, some I do not. Also, a lot of parents are there. Some of the parents I know, some I don't. And parents will pitch for their kids and kids will pitch for their parents. So one guy gets up. I don't know him. He's a grown-up. He's a dad. And I go, this 5th grader is known only as Gramps. I said, he originally started going to school here in 1964. And I make this whole fucking thing. At the end of the game, so many dads came up and were like, that was amazing. You guys, it's the first time I did this. They're like, you got to do this every year. And I realized like I'm flying high because I'm like, man, everyone loved my jokes. And I was like, who loved your jokes? And I was like, all the dads. And I was like, why did they love your jokes? And I was like, because we're all dads. I started to think about like, oh yeah, obviously they all liked it.
I saw, here's what I saw online. This woman goes, oh my God, did you hear about that actress who got stabbed? And it's the mom and the dad, and the dad's on the computer. And the mom goes, oh my God, who? And she's like, I can't remember her name. She got stabbed, Reese. And her mom goes, Witherspoon? And she goes, no, with a knife. And the dad just slowly turns around with the big smile on his face and just gives the daughter a high five. And I was like, crack the fuck up. Witherspoon? No, with a knife. She got stabbed.
Yeah, when you influence the next generation, that's how you know.
The slow turn that he had when he got the joke was like, yes. So fucking funny. Oh my God, dude. I love a good dad joke though, man. I got a book of them and none of them
I do too.
Yeah. None of them are good. They're all stupid. I'm like, it's a dumb joke.
I think there's I have a book too, and there are 2 standouts that I was like, I would use that one. I don't usually like use jokes. Do you use jokes or just make people laugh? Like, I think I make people laugh by telling things that are funny. I don't think I say, like, guy walks into a bar.
Yeah, I don't have a setup usually. Usually I do something stupid and everybody's like, are you an idiot? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Kind of.
Hey, if we're going to laugh, let's roll with it. Yeah, I did something real stupid.
That's like the best description, the best self-description I've ever heard. Usually I just do something stupid and then someone says, are you an idiot? And I'm like, kinda.
If it's going to get you to laugh and not think about what a moron I am, good. Like I feel like that's it. Like usually my brand of humor, not that I'm a comedian or anything, my brand of humor is very much like, oops, I guess I stepped in that dog shit and everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
So I can either get butthurt or I can laugh along with you and actually increase the laughter by just telling a joke or being funnier.
Right.
And and then nobody holds a grudge to you or like, hey, that was that guy who stepped in dog shit. He's like, hey, there's that funny guy. He stepped in dog shit.
A funny guy who smells like dog shit. Do you ever use Sammy as like a prop or a sidekick? Because I use Kent all the time.
I don't get to yet. It's still kind of weird when you have a baby in quarantine and pandemic stuff. And so it's like down here, we don't go out to places where I can do that. But
see, we did before pandemic.
Yeah.
And then during pandemic, we haven't done restaurants. We haven't done stores. But if we're in some like a park or something like that, and I guess it was before pandemic, I will purposely talk loud so that people can hear what me and Kent say. Because I think we're fucking hysterical.
I guess I did the other day. I took her to Target and she doesn't ask questions yet. It's not like why, but she repeated why to me. I was like, yes, that's true. Good job. You should ask why. You should question everything. And like, I'm just walking through Target talking very loud, like question everything, especially adults. And if anybody tells you they have the answers to the universe, they're lying to you. Question that all the time, especially question God. And everybody's just like, and this is on a Sunday. Everybody's just like, and Sammy's just like,
Sunday's the worst day to make that joke because all the Gotties are in church. You got to do it when they're there.
I know. Well, that's why I go to Target on Sunday mornings. It keeps her busy and it's empty because everybody's at church. So it's like, yeah. So we go and try on hats. And Sammy, when she puts on a hat, now she strikes a pose. She's like, check out my angles. I'm like, I'm going to buy you this hat, even though it's ugly as shit. So last week, we were at the Target and we were doing this God joke and I stopped at Starbucks and I was like, I'm gonna get coffee for my wife and me, hey, it'll be a nice thing to do. And so
I'm here.
I get coffee and I come home and I take a sip of it and I'm like, what the fuck? And it was iced coffee. And my guess is they had a pitcher of water for the iced coffee and a pitcher of hibiscus tea for people who wanted hibiscus tea. And I had hibiscus tea coffee now. My wife and I both did. And it was one of those things where you're like, sipperoo. This is terrible. Sipperoo. Am I going to finish this? And I kept drinking it. And then I was like, my tummy hurts. I was like, no, this is terrible. This is terrible. Why am I doing this? Because I spent $5 on it. And I can't let it go. So I was all pissed off. And I was like, I'm going to go back there and yell at them. I was like, what's the point? You're going to come back 3 hours later and be like, you put hibiscus tea in my coffee. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't even prove that. I'm like, I know. Like, give me my money back.
Prove that. Like, I want my $5.
This was expensive ass coffee. They were Ventis. I got the big ones. I'm not cheaping out on coffee for Sunday morning for the wife. Hibiscus coffee. It was one of those things you're like, this is terrible. I know it's terrible, but is it kind of good? No, it's not. But like, it kept tricking me. And
I can't wait till we're physically together again. And I'm in an opportunity where I can treat you to a coffee, because what I will say to the barista is, this is going to sound weird, but trust me.
I want you to make him an iced coffee.
You know how
instead of water.
You know how you make an iced coffee, right? I know.
Use one of your weird fruity tea flavors. And he'll watch him drink it and he'll be confused, but he will drink it because he spent $5.
I get peppermint mocha from Starbucks sometimes, and Starbucks got their shit together. But for a while, wherever you like, because peppermint mocha is a Christmas drink, but they can make it anytime. But every once in a while, they will make it in such a way that it tastes like mocha that someone poured mouthwash into. And when I say that, you're all like, ha, 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 that would taste gross. It is exactly what this tastes like sometimes.
No,
and
because they crank that shit up. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I've been to other places, the worst, and it happened twice at two different ones, was ArcLight Theaters, the movie theaters in Hollywood and surrounding. I went to one and I was like, listen, from Starbucks, I get something that is a peppermint mocha. Now, I'm not a coffee guy. Peppermint mocha. There's three things there: peppermint, coffee, and chocolate. Can you put that together in some sort of thing? They're like, yeah. And I watched them do it. And the first thing looked like scope. Like it looked like mouthwash and it tasted like mouthwash. Threw that thing away. Then the other one, the next one I got was okay. Then another one, like these are separate days. The last one, what is this podcast turned into? I just realized.
Are you guys going to talk about those dick pizzas again? Or are you just going to tell us your coffee order?
It's like someone right now, a listener right now is looking at another listener being like, they used to talk about dick pizzas.
Some listener right now is in the hospital getting his blown apart fingers stitched back together into little stumps and being like, I don't have the fingers to change the channel, but I would do
a thumbs down, but
So, guys, tell us about your favorite coffee order. We'd love to hear. No, don't send me a coffee order.
No, we're talking about gross coffee orders.
Yeah, no, because they're putting peppermint syrup in there, dude, and that's a very fine ratio. You know, it's like you put like 2 pumps in there, and you're suddenly just like,
but they're not alchemists, and it's like I'm not asking for like hibiscus tea that like nobody's ever created before. This is a Starbucks menu. Like, it's not like, hey, I want you to make me something. It's like a fucking peppermint mocha. I'm the only dickhead who is asking for that.
Yes, you are.
Outside of Christmas, I guess. Hibiscus. What did you say? Hibiscus iced coffee?
It's a hibiscus ice. Yeah, because they use like some sort of hibiscus tea is what is my guess. I don't know if that was the actual flavor, but it was like some sort of
you couldn't reverse engineer
some sort of fruity, flowery tea in my coffee instead of water.
And Kate's too?
And Kate's too, yeah. And she was just like, no.
What about Sammy's? Did they fuck Sammy's up?
Sammy doesn't get tea or coffee yet. She gets water. So we go to this tea bar here, and like we get like boba teas or whatever. Kate likes the boba tea. I like the Thai iced tea. And we just hit Sammy a cup of ice because she doesn't need any of that shit. And she doesn't know any better. And she loves it. She's like, ice. And she's like drinking it out of the straw. And she's like, you know, but the first time we ever went there, we got her like a little mango tea, and like that spilled everywhere. That was everywhere. People seem less upset when you spill ice everywhere than when you spill mango milk tea everywhere. Gross.
I get for when pandemic started and Kent was like a year old, I got a couple, and it wasn't every day. It wasn't even every week, but I got white chocolate mochas and from the drive-through. So
it started in March. For those of you still trying to be like, wait, is this Christmas? No, Matt likes Christmas drinks in the middle. Whenever.
White chocolate. Well, white chocolate mocha is everything. That's not a peppermint. But Kent will still, no matter what drive-through you go to, white chocolate mocha, please.
We get Rufio those pup cups, which is just a cup of whipped cream. That's fun. Yeah, he just loves that.
I do the same thing for Kent, but I make him eat it like a dog, so that Starbucks doesn't get wise.
Like, is your child on a leash, sure? Like, yeah, so he doesn't get away. You've never seen a kid on a kid leash? Like, yeah, that's a kid
responsible
leash.
Parent
around his neck. Is that a shock collar? What's going on here?
His neck.
Because Kate and I have always been like, no, we'll never do that. We'll never get a kid leash. Oh, how demeaning and terrible. But then like suddenly you realize, oh man, maybe that is a good idea. When you have a dog and a kid at the same time, you're like, if I just put them both on leashes, this would be easier.
My dog is easier to control. I'd rather, and I have, at Kent's request, unleashed Freeze and clipped his Freeze's leash to the back of Kent's belt loop.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Yeah, I've done that with Sammy too. Yeah, she loves going oof oof oof, which is dog barking for her, and running around the house pretending to be a dog with his leash. And I'm like, oh, that's cute.
And she has toys and dolls and shit to play with, right? And that's what she's using.
She has 2 rooms in this entire house. That's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 rooms. 2 out of 7 rooms belong to her entirely. It's her bedroom, and the front room, which normally is a fine dining room, which who uses those, is now a playroom. It's got a kitchen in it, like a play kitchen. You know, the water's, I haven't hooked the water up yet.
Wait, are you explaining to us that she doesn't actually entertain guests there?
It's got a chair rail and she can't even sit in chairs. So what are you going to do? She's got a tent in there. Like, look, and she's just like, no, I want to play with the dog's leash in this empty box you have. That's what I want to do. Hours with an empty box. Yeah, kids are great.
I just had, we're way off topic, but there was no topic.
There's no topic. Dolly Parton and her Tiggo Bitties.
Amanda was cranky the other day, and I called her out, and I was like, hey, this is all kind of flying out of nowhere. What is bothering you? She's like, you have all your stuff over here, which was true. And then she's like, and you're always buying more stuff, pretending like it's for Kent. I was like, stop. What do I buy for him and pretend? She's like, you have 2 Batman figures in his room right now. I said, I bought those for me. I brought them home from school and put them in there because I thought Kent would think they're cool. They're mine. didn't buy them for Kent. She was like, oh, well, you have a Boba Fett something. I was like, that's for him. He plays with that. She was like, oh. Flash forward a week later, I just bought like $170 Optimus Prime Lego set. Have you seen this?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
But it actually transforms. Like once you finish it, you can transform it.
Yeah.
And no shit, the kid loves Transformers, specifically Optimus Prime. Now, I know that he can't do the set, but he might sit down and play with it. Amanda's going to see this set in a week or two. And I don't know if I think I should just say it's for me, but he can play with it if he wants, which is all true. But if I say it's for him, I think I'm in trouble.
You're in the wrong side of it already. What have you bought her? That's what you need to be asking.
She doesn't like Legos. I tried that shit before. I told her we can go to a comic book store. I'll buy her any comic she wanted. And she didn't even step foot in the store.
I bought her a Darth Vader helmet. She won't even wear it. I'm just saying that's what it's about. That's my guess, at least.
I don't know if I should say it, but I will because I know she's not going to listen. I don't think so. But she bought me a Darth Vader helmet once.
Fuck yeah.
For Valentine's Day. And I walked into the bedroom and she was wearing it. She was wearing other stuff too. It wasn't completely a sexual thing. But like she was like, let me go get ready. And I was like, okay. And when I went in, there was a little lingerie and Darth Vader helmet. Awesome. And I was like, I mean, I walked in and immediately started laughing, but I was also really happy I got the helmet because it was like
you don't have to say it on the air, and please don't say it on the air. But my immediate thought was, at what point did she take off the helmet?
No. The next day. The best part of it, and if like Amanda, everybody else has heard stories of it. It was a Black Series, Hasbro helmet, beautiful. It's 3 pieces, so it's like a neck collar with the face shield that sticks onto that, and then the actual helmet.
It's as realistic as you can get.
It looks gorgeous.
Without dying in a pit of lava, it's as realistic as you can get.
And you have to put it on in pieces. To put the first piece on, which is like the piece that goes around your neck and around your jaw, it's got like a collar back here that unsnaps. There's 4 snaps, 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. You only have to undo 2 to get it on. The snaps themselves, if you're watching the video, you could see it. If not, I'll explain it. They are screwed. It's just like 2 little buckles. One end of each is screwed into the back part of the neck brace.
Yeah.
The other 2 snap in with your finger. Click, click. To get herself into the helmet, she unscrewed the snaps as opposed to unsnapping them.
Oh, no.
She opened the wrong end of it because she looked at it and was like, I don't know what Mustafarian technology. I can't figure out how to open up a helmet. And she unscrewed the straps.
Oh. I mean, but that's what happens when you let people play with toys when they're unprepared, man. I
forgot about this. She was like, let me go get ready. And she left. And she was like, can you bring me in a screwdriver? And I was like, damn.
Can you get me a drill? Can you run to Home Depot and pick up 3/4 20s and a claw hammer?
Part of me was like, I turned this movie off. Should I be watching? Like, is this going to take a couple minutes? Do I have some time?
Do you do a lot of like home? Are you a home handy guy? Are you a handyman?
Oh, big time. Big time, yeah.
I like to be, but I don't have time. So I always do this thing where I set a price in my head. I'm like, here's the price. And if I get a quote on this and it is that price or around that price,
sure,
that is worth my time not to do it, period.
Right. Yeah.
And usually I'm pretty close. I'm actually very happy. Sometimes I'm way off where I'm like, holy shit, that's expensive. And I'm also not going to do that myself. So
right.
Here's all my goddamn money, I guess. So we just had a bunch of, we got a Tesla charger installed. I got a bunch of like new outlets put into the house, like in key areas. Mm-hmm. And it was like,
so you can charge the car in the living room?
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the family now. It's like, good car, saving me so much money, except in this charger cost, because this was a fucking expensive thing. And it was like, how much in my head to not have to do this myself? And I put a cost and it was like double that. And I was like, well, I'm not doing it myself, so fucking have at it. But I was trying to get a cost to redo my closet, and people were like, $7,000 for a closet. I was like, fuck that. I'm doing this shit myself. I'm going to build a goddamn closet. So it's funny when you are trying to do a home handyman thing and you're fucking it up, because this is what always, it's never like, it is never Bob Vila home improvement time. It's never like the home improvement shows. What happens is you start doing this and you go, oh, fuck, this was tied to that. And now I fucked up two things.
Right.
And now I have to go get a tool to fix that thing so I can finish the thing that I started doing, which was supposed to be easy. Mm-hmm. And on your fourth trip to fucking Home Depot, and they're like, you clipped the main line, didn't you? Or like, you punctured a pipe, didn't you? Like, they know. Not only do they know the project you're trying to do, but they also know the thing you fucked up. And that's
right, they have it. They're like, here, you're going to need one of these.
Yeah. Well, they're like, he'll be back. He didn't pick up the right kind of screw for that. And it's like, and you try to explain to them what you're doing, but still sound cool. And they're like, yeah, you're going to need this. And you're like, well, I'm not going to spend all that money. So I'm going to get like two of those things. You'll be back. You're going to get all that shit. So they know you at that point. And you're like, ha, 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 and you're like, paying for this shit. And they're just like, this guy does not know what he's doing. And you get home, you finish it, and you feel super proud of yourself. But you're like, I had to go to the Home Depot like 6 times that one day.
Bought yourself 7 new tools.
Yeah, all these tools. And you're just like.
And the worst is when you like, if I buy a drill, fine. But when you buy something that is so specific, it only makes that sort of hinge. You're like, okay, if that drawer breaks, I can fix it. But that's the only thing I can use this tool for. Yeah.
Well, I get excited about buying tools because like I like having the tools to do stuff, but it's like, I don't need a circular saw. I don't need one here.
Right.
I'm never going to build something big enough without having to hire people.
Right. At that point, there's more things going on than needing
to need a bandsaw in my house. So It's like, okay, as much as excited as I get when that shit's on sale, people are like, they used to talk about comic books. Now they're talking about hardware.
They are dad. They're like, they are dads. They're homeowning dads.
The Launch Dad podcast is happening. Jesus Christ. I don't know. And I need to watch Stranger Things. Everybody's all like hyped up on that shit, but it's like, I fell off after season 2. And it's like, I need to get back into
Season 3 was so hard to get through that I'm not like, I'll get to 4 and it's a show that Amanda and I watch together, but like, we're not in a rush, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I did just start that's promising?
What?
It's promising. The Old Man. I think it's on Hulu. I think it's an effects show with Jeff Bridges. Did you see this?
No, I have no clue what it is.
So I'll give you my thought of what it was. It looked like Jeff Bridges is a washed up old man who looks like he may be some sort of CIA agent or something like that. And he's Jack Reachering. Either someone's chasing him or he's out for revenge or something.
I saw the trailer. I know what you're talking about now.
Okay, I didn't even see this trailer. I just saw a couple images and I was flipping through the channels and it was on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I loved the camera work. I loved the way the shot was put together. And I was like, okay, this looks cool. I like the lighting and I still love the lighting of it. So just that one quick glimpse of the show and what I thought, I was like, okay. And Jeff Bridges, I don't know that I've seen a bad Jeff Bridges movie or a bad Jeff Bridges role. So I was like, I'll watch it. So, and I'm traveling. I'm having crazy trouble sleeping. So the other night I watched a couple episodes. First episode was fucking awesome. Set up what the premise is going to be. A lot of mystery. Like, I don't know why he is doing this, but him doing it was awesome. So I'm sure as we go on, you're going to show me more. Then the second episode, they did some Punisher shit where essentially he meets a girl and pretty much the whole episode is him getting to know and going on a date and doing stuff with this girl. And then he has this one not revenge, but like he gets they get stopped by the cops and he's on the run. We don't know why. He gets stopped by the cops and we've already seen him brutally kill a couple people in the first episode. He pulls out his knife and stabs the cop and shoots another cop. And then he looks at the girl and she says something that's related to his past and he shoots her. And I was like, whoa, that made all of this episode worth that. But then he like snaps out of it and that was just a dream. They're still in the police car and the police let him go. And I was like, ah. And it's still very interesting. I'm very interested to see what they do with it. But it was a very big discrepancy for me between the first episode and the second episode, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they hook you with that pilot, and then the second episode.
Well, I'll give them the space to tell the story, and it's also like I know you don't like Breaking Bad because of the coincidences and stuff, but I liked, even if you take the story, the context of the story and the actors and shit out, I liked how they filmed things. They did some really interesting camera work. They really utilize literally vehicles as characters. They utilize the locations and spaces to set tone. Like, you know what I mean? It's not, I feel like a lot of times TV is just running and gunning, but I feel like I would almost look at like the Breaking Bad art book. You know what I mean? Like to see how they comprise shots and put together a scene as far as the visual palette that they use. Like, for example, in this one, a lot of it takes place at night and they're lighting him so that he has pinpricks of light in his pupils. So it's at night and most of his face is in shadow and he's got these two almost like steel balls for eyes. And when he looks back and forth, it's a really cool thing. You don't see that a lot. And I like that was done on purpose for sure, because they've done it a couple times. I think that's interesting. And I like that. They've also done some pretty cool fight scenes where an old man is fighting a newer CIA agent. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, my dad's in good shape and he's a big guy. But my 65-year-old dad in a fight against someone my age who is CIA trained, get the fuck out of here. But then you watch the scene and you're like, all right, I'll allow it. That's a balloon that's a balloon bump. I'm okay with how you presented that in a way that is making me believe it, but also like, let's go. I'm on board with the show.
It's interesting. The show that I'm on right now, the DP, it was the director of photography for Breaking Bad and
cool.
Better Call Saul. Yeah. Marshall Adams, nice guy. We're doing some We're doing some cool stuff. He brought out a cool lens last Thursday, and I was like so amped up. It was a scope lens like they shoot Godzilla with. Mm-hmm. Those like really long lenses. It was really fun to work with. I can't say what we shot with it, but it was really cool.
Was it Godzilla?
Yes. No. No, it was not Godzilla. I wish. I told him we should do a Godzilla scene just because we can. We have the lens. Let's do it.
Did you convince him?
I mean, he's on board.
Tell him he'll fix it in post. I feel like if you, the visual effects supervisor, says you'll fix it in post,
he wants to shoot miniatures in Godzilla all day. I just don't think it's part of the story,
You can put name a story that would not benefit from Godzilla.
I mean, no lies detected. I can't think of one.
I'm trying to think of even a funny example to say. I can't think of one. Even porn, I think, would be better. I don't think Godzilla, just so I say, I don't think Godzilla should be involved in the sexual acts of a porn.
No. But like, yeah. I mean, obviously the plot of that porn goes, Godzilla smashing our city. I don't want to die a virgin. Let me help you with that. Don't Yeah. I mean, Godzilla will make everything better. And that's going to be one of our episodes here soon, is we're going to have to come up with movies of just like insert Godzilla. How does it work?
Kaiju, we call it kaijus make this worse, and try to figure out how a giant. Oh, I got a bitchin' book, by the way. I got this awesome book from Japan, so I can't even read the book. But it's all these designs of kaijus from the Ultraman series, and it's just this guy's hand drawn. It's like almost 300 pages of drawings, and each page has like 4 or 5, 6 drawings on it, where it's just like little sketches of a cool looking kaiju. And it's like, I wish I could read this so I could see what the thought process is or what they're saying about him, or like even what episode I could see these in. But it's like, this is fucking cool. All the designs. It's just like this guy just sketches kaiju all day. That's awesome. There's got to be an app that you could hold your phone over.
Yeah.
A language and see the text in your language, right?
I'm sure in some way or another. Yeah, probably. I'll look it up.
Kent has been doing, because Kent loves kaiju stuff, but he doesn't fully watch, like we won't watch Ultraman. He just wants to see the Ultraman parts, right? Which I get. Mm-hmm. And also even that it's so flimsy, he loses interest pretty quickly after a couple minutes. But we've been watching a handful of Ultramans. The next thing I want to start him on, but I got to find the DVDs of it. I don't feel like doing it online, is Japanese Spider-Man. Have you ever seen any of that?
Kikaider. Yeah.
I've never seen the whole thing, but it is fucking ridiculous. Spider-Man killing people.
Leopardon.
All about revenge. Yeah. That's his flying Zord. Like he has his own robot, and he has got a car and a motorcycle, and he's killing people. It's like, this looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. Japanese Spider-Man is a trip. I've only seen a couple things, but yeah, the for whatever reason he's got Leporidon.
And when he shoots, I think when he shoots his web, he goes, "Spider string." So me and Kent have been running around going, "Spider." I think it's string. And he's "Spider string," and we keep running around and saying it in Japanese English, "Spider string."
Awesome. I mean, yeah, I love that stuff. Sammy, she doesn't understand editing right now, so we'll be watching like Godzilla. we tried to watch Godzilla. Is it? What is the one with the little kid and he goes to the island? Is it Destroy All Monsters or All Monsters Attack?
Revenge of Godzilla?
No, it's the one after Son of Godzilla. So it's like this little boy and he's like, I get bullied. I dream about going to with Godzilla. I think it's All Monsters Attack.
I think it is too.
Also, I've never seen shorter shorts ever in a movie ever.
Yeah, and they show that little boy a lot.
Yeah, it's real weird. But we're watching it, and
that's the little boy gets kidnapped and shit, right?
Yeah, the movie's awful. It's the worst Godzilla movie. Almost not as bad as Shin, but pretty bad. Sammy's digging the Godzilla scenes. Like she's blowing kisses at the monsters and Godzilla. Which
is what you did in Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, she's she's loving the Godzilla stuff, but the second it cuts away to people jibber jabbering, she's like, uh-oh, like she thinks she changed the channel, so she's looking for the remote.
Yeah,
picks up. We have a fake remote that she like thinks that works, so she'll pick it up and she point at the TV and she's like, Godzilla, and she's pressing buttons, and then I just fast forward to the next Godzilla scene. She's like, oh, I fixed it, thank God. And then the second it cuts away, uh-oh. But we were watching Godzilla versus King Kong, and Godzilla's whooping King Kong's ass, and King Kong like gets knocked out, and she goes night night, mwah, and blows. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Sure, my wife loves that I show my daughter all this violent shit.
It's good.
I mean, she digs it, and she thinks it's funny, and she stomps around while we're watching Godzilla. It's fun. That's that. Yeah, but
the fuck are we going to title this episode? 9 to 5, I guess, but
Dolly Parton's Big O Bitties. No. Yeah, I have no idea, man. 9 to 5. That's what it is. What else do I got? R.I.P. Tim Sale. We should wrap it up soon. But R.I.P. Tim Sale, one of the greatest comic book artists to do the game, passed away fairly recently, like within the last month. That was a bummer, but we got to meet him. We interviewed him once.
Yeah, we've interviewed him, and I've seen him, talk to him a couple times. He drew my favorite comic book page ever from Spider-Man Blue.
Spider-Man Blue.
He did. If you guys don't know who Tim Sale is, he did Batman: The Long Halloween.
That's probably which is my best knowing of him.
Yeah, I mean, he also did the TV show Heroes. Isaac, I think his name is Isaac Mendez, but whoever the painter was in that show who would get high and then paint, that was all Tim Sale's actual art. So all of the art and the comic book. Actually, I have a comic book prop of that. I suspect it might not be real, but either way, he drew the art for that. He's got a very distinct style.
Yeah.
And he was like, and then I met him a couple times. We talked to him once or twice, but he's apparently like one of the nicest guys who would just like sketch things just while you were bullshitting with him. Always a nice guy. But yeah, like groundbreaking storytelling. Really, really, he did a lot with negative space. He's almost like Frank Miller art style as far as like a lot of shadows and light coming through blinds and curtains and stuff.
He knew how to draw things and how to use the environment, and like, I don't know, really, really, really great artist. Fantastic stuff.
Superman for All Seasons.
Yeah.
Shit, he's done so much. If you haven't checked out his stuff, go look it up because it's gorgeous art.
But R.I.P. Speaking of Batman, I was talking to Alex Popkin the other day. We've been on their show. It was the Clearing the Queue, and they've been on our show. Him and his buddy Matt, the other Matt. They were talking about Batman. I was talking to him the other day about the new Batman movie that we were talking about. He brought up a great point that I can't believe we didn't think of or talk about. He goes, the Riddler was so meticulous about how he kidnapped people and the traps he laid for them. Like when we get to his apartment, there's prototyping involved. I have to build this like rat trap and how to kidnap people and how to get away with it. But then Bruce Wayne, who is a clutch part of his plan, he just sends a bomb to him. He's like, well, I hope it gets him.
I thought that too. Yeah. But that's one of those things where like, no matter what mystery or multi-part plan you have, there's always a couple things in a movie where you're just like, Okay. I hope that guy gets that. I hope that works that way.
Well, as somebody who works on meticulous projects and very intricate things, not bombs and not traps, but I have been like, well, I've spent so much time on this other thing. I just need to put a Band-Aid on this piece to deliver. So, well, and that's like, I guess that's what happened with the Riddler. It's like, I spent too much time on this rat headgear. I can't just
send him. I don't know. Send him a bomb.
Send him a bomb.
I just reread Kevin Smith's Guardian Devil, the Daredevil story that he did with Joe Quesada.
Yeah.
And in that, there's 2 points in which Mysterio is like, oh no, Daredevil has interfered with our plan too early. We have to accelerate, which is like, first of all, this isn't even your actual plan. You had another plan that this is now like, this is the plan B of that plan. And also, same thing. There's 2 or 3 times where you're watching it and you're like, or you're reading it and you're like, wait a minute. You orchestrated all of this stuff, but if Daredevil didn't call him on that day, none of that would have worked. Okay. You knew his reaction was going to be to go to that building at that time of the day. Like you knew him that well. Oh, okay. But like, come on.
I know it's tough. It's funny though. Like, especially when you read like real life true crime shit and you're like, well, none of this should have worked, but I guess it did.
Yeah.
Because it's real. But yeah, like the coincidences it took to make X, Y, and Z happen. I guess that's realistic, but when you read in a comic book, you're like, bullshit. You see it in a movie, bullshit, fuck you, movie. And they're like, all right, well.
I love Amanda and I watch a ton of Dateline, and I love the narcissistic killers on Dateline who go out of their way to do this crazy plan where they have made extravagant, well-placed, loud alibis where I'm here. I can't be in another state killing my wife. And then they buy all of the different things that they use to kill the wife in multiple different places. All those places have fucking cameras, you moron. So now that's evidence against you. And you're like, I'm sure that I would get caught if I murdered someone because I think there's a lot of things that you don't think about. But like, if you're smart enough to be like, I'm going to go not to my local Walmart to buy the duct tape and rope and everything. But like, if you're smart enough to know that they can track stuff where it came from, you don't think they have security?
Yeah. You're on camera doing all that shit.
It just seems like such an easy thing to get busted for.
If you get a receipt, there's a list of all the shit you did.
Correct.
And somebody's going to find that receipt because it's not that hard to find.
We've seen one where the person dropped the receipt at the abduction site. So they picked that up and were like, oh, and it was paid with cash and everything. But they were like, all right, someone bought this at the such and such Walmart at 12:45 last Wednesday. They look at that security camera like, that's the killer. And you're like,
yeah. And he's not even like wearing a fake disguise. He's not even doing like the Raphael going to see a movie thing. He's just fucking normal. He didn't even shave for it. So I listened to a lot of true crime podcast stuff. And one of the ones I'm listening to, did you ever see the movie Rope?
Alfred Hitchcock one?
Yeah. Great movie. So it's based on a real crime. It's these 2 rich guys who killed a 14-year-old boy because they're like, we're going to do the perfect crime. Yeah, perfect crime. Yeah. And they like planned the fuck out of this. And then it just fell apart spectacularly. Yeah. And it's like one of those things. It's like these guys literally smart dudes. They're in college when they're like 17 or like 14. They graduate early and go to college early. And that's where they meet. And they're like, we're going to do the perfect crime. Yeah. They get all high about that shit. These guys are smart dudes and they fuck it up so badly. It's embarrassing. But then you see these guys who have been murdering like for 15 years and they're like, I'm a crazy fucker. Hail Satan. You're like, how did that guy get away with all this shit? Yeah. He can't plan where he's taking his next shit. And these guys thought every little detail out. They just fucked it up because it all led back to them because for as smart as they are, they're still stupid. But it's like the crazy guy who's yelling about like aliens and the government has murdered 30 people over the span of 15 years and just getting away with it out of sheer craziness. And it's like the more you plan, the less it works. But then like the crazier you are,
that usually happens with life. Think about the home improvement projects we were just talking about. I know the shit that I do with Kent where I'm like, hey, want to go to the airport and watch the planes right now? And he's like, yeah, that's easy. But I'm like, tomorrow, let's go to the beach. I got everything all packed up. Fuck, we're not getting to that beach.
yeah. Disaster. Yeah. That's the amazing thing. And it's like, Yeah, literally, these guys kidnap a kid. They kill him. They stuff his body in a tiny little like culvert, and then they call the parents and like, give us money. And they didn't realize that the second they left the scene of the crime, they had like dropped all their shit there, and somebody found a body immediately. And the family already knew their kid was dead when they're like, give us money or we won't let him go. It's like, wow, you guys are idiots.
Oh, okay.
And then just like from then on out, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Such morons. The perfect crime. Yep. I love it. Well, guys, tell us what your perfect crime is. killing any kids lately.
Well, way to loop it back to the black comedy bit. That's good. That's some dark comedy right there.
Yeah. Remember, even God had a late term abortion. Come on. Ouch. Zing, 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 zing. Oh, God. What a week. Well, hope you guys still have your fingers and toes. Really appreciate all of our listeners. Hope you had some fun on the 4th of July. Even if you are not a fan of the country at the moment, you can still have fun and eat a barbecue and eat like 30 hot dogs and drink 20 beers for us.
Yeah, that would be good.
Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LaunchpadPod. Our website, launchpadpod.com. Watch us on YouTube. We make funny faces.
Yeah, when Rumi was doing the dick flavored potato chips, that's the part you want to go to.
Did you eat any weird flavored potato chips over the long weekend? Let me know what your favorite part is.
Yeah. What's the weirdest potato chip you had?
Boy. Yeah. There were some weird potato chips on set the other day, not dick flavored, but they were like wrappers potato chips. And I was like, these Rick Ross flavors are delicious. They were just called wrapper chips. And I was like, I'm going to eat 3 bags of these. The baby's cheddar jalapeno whatever flavored chips, delicious. Do
you still take food home from set? Like, do you ever fill your pockets?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's free shit, dude. Anybody can take it unless your background, then fuck off. Rumi, let's blast this thing off. We're the Rocketeers. We're out.
That was an interesting one.
At least we cracked each other up.
Yeah, for sure.
Liftoff. We have